Jananim Sharadam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmuhu Namashri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraye Satchit Sukhaswarupaya Swamine Tapaharine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkrupa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Vireshwarananda Dayamrutabdhim Sri Ranganathancha Vijnana Bhanu Chidananda Rupa Sri Purushottamaryam Dhyayan Hrudisthan Krutinam Hivaimi. Honorable Sri Om Ji, Sri Ramesh Ji, Nirmala Ji, and all their associates who have been instrumental in bringing about this beautiful and meaningful program, my dear friends. Let me at the outset itself thank you all for making this program a reality. Most of the times we conceive so many ideas, but they simply remain as conceptions only and nothing comes out of it. I must congratulate the efficiency of the people who took this idea into their mind and definitely made it a reality and brought the idea to its logical conclusion. With this introduction, let me enter into the subject proper. Subject is beautiful, very much interesting. Many people must be wondering as to what India's contribution must have been there at all for the field of science. We can understand India's contribution to the field of philosophy. We can understand to the field of religion and to so many other fields. Science, which is at always loggerheads with religion, sometimes with philosophy too. If you go by what all has happened in the Western hemisphere of the mankind, science and religion have been always at loggerheads ever since Copernicus came on the scene. Church has been fighting with science. Science had to gain every inch of its ground through a fierce battle with the church. Therefore, today the whole mankind almost has started thinking science means somehow it is anti-religion and vice versa. It is all because people are not familiar with what happened in India. It's unfortunate Indians themselves don't know much of what is really India. The last word for science must come from India. Please do not sense any sort of fanatic note in my utterance. It's a glaring reality and a warning also to the contemporary scientific community. The last word, answer for every enigma that today's scientific community is faced with, must come from India. If it doesn't come from India, it comes from nowhere. With all sense of responsibility, I am saying this. I know the intelligentsia that I am facing presently. I know the structure of the assemblage before which I am standing. Probably you may think Swamiji suffers from heat of audacity. It is not. It is my conviction. Probably most of you or all of you must have known about the Copenhagen conference, where there was a little bit of dispute between Einstein and Niels Bohr. Niels Bohr's most favorite disciple was Heisenberg, who came out with the invention which today we call as uncertainty principle that deals with the building material of the universe. Even today, the inventions, discoveries, researches are going on to come out with a definite and perfect idea about the building material of the universe, which has been evasive even today for the scientific community. They came out with God particle, God bless them, it has proved a failure. Because they are not serious about Indian findings. 125 years ago, Vivekananda declared in this very city. What is the declaration that Swamiji gave? All sciences have taken their birth in India and they have only been developed elsewhere. This is Swamiji's observation. All sciences have taken their birth in India. They have been only developed elsewhere. Only development came from outsiders. Consolidation came from outsiders. But root is India. Vivekananda is not the only person who has said that. Friedrich Schlegel, one of the founders of German Romanticism, even for that matter, T.S. Eliot, most famous thinker, one of the most famous thinkers of America, who the other day said, perhaps while addressing the students of Harvard University, that most of the great European thinkers look like schoolboys compared with the subtleties of Indian philosophers. When European thinkers are schoolboys, school-going boys compared with the subtleties of Indian thinkers must have found it never a difficult thing to invest their energy and time on the field of science and also be able to come out with logical conclusions. It's in this background that we have to view as to what at all must have been the contribution of India to science. I was referring to Copenhagen Conference. Heisenberg says the building material of the universe as it obtains today evades all sorts of definition. It is uncertain, to put it in his own words. Today that has come to be called as uncertainty principle of Heisenberg. You can never say what exactly is the nature of the building material. Because what is meant by saying anything about a thing, you have to know its mass. First and foremost thing, to say anything about a thing, you have to know its mass. And so many other details will follow automatically later. To know the mass of an electron or subatomic particle, to put it in general terminology, whatever it is, today electron is thing of a bygone days. You have to first know its position because it is always moving around the nucleus. And unless you know the momentum of it, you cannot know the mass. Independently, you could not know the mass. I do not know presently what the situation is. Unless momentum is known, mass could not be known. Momentum could not be known because if you are able to see the position of the electron, you are never able to infer its velocity and vice versa. If you know the velocity, position cannot be known. Unless both are known, clear definition of it can never come. So that is why Heisenberg said it is uncertain. Einstein silently listens to the explanation given by Heisenberg, who was an young chap. Einstein is never in a position to accept his versions, and therefore he comes out with his own declaration. What do you mean? God does not play dice. God does not play dice. Niels Bohr could not stand this. After all, Heisenberg was his very pet student. Niels Bohr turns towards Einstein and says, Mr. Einstein, nor is it my business or your business to dictate God as to how he must run the universe. That was the reply that he gave. As long as Einstein was alive, he never accepted the version put forth by Heisenberg that building material is evasive of any of the details. Therefore, only uncertainty reigns supreme and nothing else. Crestfallen was Heisenberg. He did not concoct any story thereby. He was a scientist after all. Not knowing what to do, I do not know who prompted him, or that must have been a divine dispensation that he felt like consulting Rabindranath Tagore in India. He explained the whole dilemma before Tagore. Tagore patted him on the back and said, "You are absolutely right. Don't wait for the approval of Einstein or any person for that matter. You are right. Building material of the universe always awaits a definite explanation. It is now, Mr. Heisenberg, it is now that the science is really knocking at the door of truth. Long ago, Indian philosophers have found out that building material can never be explained as far as its features are concerned, its details are concerned." Tagore quotes the great philosopher of India, Shankaracharya. According to him, or according to the Vedas, Upanishads, etc., the building material is Ishvara. If you peep into the philosophical details that India has developed over the ages, the grandest material or the grandest thing is Parabrahman, of which everything is made. Yato vacho nivartante, yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yat prayanti abhisamvishanti iti, tad vijijnasasva, tad brahmeti, declares Taittiriya Upanishad. Or Brahma Sutras, Vyasa's Brahma Sutras say, Janmadyasya yataha, the one from where the whole creation has come. That is the definition Vyasa gives for Brahma. Can that humming sound be avoided somehow, please? Do if you can, otherwise leave it. Yes. On what basis Rabindranath Tagore said that? Now it is okay. Perhaps I should maintain some distance. In India, if mic is not properly functioning, we call it Maikasura. In certain cases, only we say it is sound system. Certain times, only system will be there, sound won't be there. On other occasions, only sound will be there, system will not be there. My guru, Swami Purushottamji, used to say, scientists will invent it. ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಕಂಡು ಹಿಡಿತಾರೆ, ಅಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಆಪರೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, something like that. But don't mistake me. It is as far as India is concerned. So what did Heisenberg do? What could he do? As I said, somehow it so happened, God's grace, certain times things happen unexpectedly. He consulted, beautiful it is. Thank you. He consulted Rabindranath Tagore. Tagore says, yes, you are right. It is uncertain. I am telling this incidents only to convince you or only to explain before you how much modern Vedas are, or Indian philosophy is. Even to the modern most problem, we have answers. But we must have that unbiased mind, look towards the knowledge of India. India has been knowledge bastion all along. Right from the day civilization dawned on its soil till today, India should give final answer for so many things. And Vivekananda has referred to it several times. But who will listen? Who will listen? Tagore says, yes, Shankaracharya says in his commentary about Maya or Ishwar. Maya and Ishwar are one and the same. They are not two different things. He defines about how Maya is. Acharya says beautifully, if you see his description, it will appear as though he has been dealing with uncertainty principle only, but written in the language of Sanskrit. It appears to be the Sanskrit translation of Heisenberg's uncertainty, or Heisenberg's uncertainty principle appears to be the English translation of the Maya concept that Acharya has given way back in 8th century AD. What he says, Sannapi, Asannapi, Ubhayatmika no. You can neither say whether Maya exists or doesn't exist. Neither it exists nor it does not exist. Sannapi, Asannapi, Ubhayatmika no. Sangapi, Anangapi, Ubhayatmika no. Bhinnapi, Abhinnapi, whether it is of parts are unified. That also you can't say. Mahadbhuta, wonderful thing, wonder of wonders, Anirvachaniya Rupa. It cannot be wrapped up in any language at all. No description can ever contain all what it is within that. So much blessed Heisenberg felt. But till as long as Einstein was alive, nothing could be done. After Einstein's demise, Heisenberg comes out with his observation, which today we all know as uncertainty principle. Even to the modern most problem, a milestone in modern physics, solution ultimately came from Indian philosophy, which is rooted in the Vedas. This is what Vedas are. This is what the contents in the Vedas are. They are the final solution for all problems man is faced with. This very Shankaracharya, while writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita, describes what exactly Vedas are. Wonderful things we all should know. Especially Indians must have at least a glimpse of all these things. Your confidence level will increase and your pride in your roots will increase. And what more we want after all? Remember, behind every success, there is one thing that is responsible for the success, and that is confidence in one's own self, self-esteem. All personality trainings, all corporate trainings, etc. There's so much emphasis on this point. Have self-esteem. Never accept defeat. Why should I not accept defeat? Because I am so strong. I am so great. Never give up. Winston Churchill used to tell his countrymen, never give up. Let this be the motto of all English people. And to the extent possible, they have been practicing. That's how they could win Second World War, in addition to so many other factors. The details of which I am not interested to get into, for my subject is not directly connected with that. I am giving you just a glimpse of what the nature of Vedas is, how enriched Vedas are. Here and there, Western savants have taken notice of all these things. Ella Wheeler Wilcox belongs to America only. A great novelist, poetess, journalist, Ella Wheeler Wilcox says about what is there in the Vedas. She says, India, the land of the Vedas, the remarkable works, contains not only perfect ideas, religious ideas for a perfect life, but also facts which science has proved true. Electricity, electronics, radium, airships were all known to seers who founded the Vedas. Remember, she is not a Hindu. She is not an Indian either, but she acknowledges it. Unbiased mind can look at all this and appreciate. The problem with most of Indians is that we are terribly biased. In India, newspapers, TV discussions, the so-called intellectuals, please remember, they all have one motto: to go on ridiculing Indian achievement. And textbooks, there also same thing is being reflected. The result is that younger generation does not even see interest at all to look into their roots and find out what is there for them, what their forefathers have done, what is left as inheritance for the posterity. They don't have any motivation at all towards that. No, they are not at all prompted to do it. Electronics is electrical things are there, things pertaining to electricity are there, electronic is there, airship is there. They are all there. The other day, one of my friends was passing through a street in Bangalore called as Avenue Road. He was a student in the most reputed college of Bangalore, National College. He was pursuing honors in physics. He was passing through the street, Avenue Road. Most of Bangaloreans that are here, you know where that Avenue Road is. It connects National College with State Bank of Mysore Circle. A very famous road, a narrow of course, very famous road. And in that road, you see lots of shops where old books are available for a very cheap rate. Most of the students who can't afford to purchase books right in the full-fledged shops, they go there, purchase the older version of the books that they want for a very cheap rate that is quite affordable for them because after all they are students. My friend wanted to have one book about Big Bang Theory. He came across one book, took it. It was his always, it was his wont that before he would enter into the main body of the book, he would go through the foreword given by the author. That's how his method of reading books used to be. The first sentence in the foreword, written by the Russian scientist, read, "This theory was known to ancient Indians." That was the first sentence. And the author is a Russian scientist. Dumbstruck, the boy, at the same time became very much proud of his roots, approached one Ramakrishna Ashrama Swamiji by name Swami Nirbhayananda and asked him, "Swamiji, Russian scientist acknowledges that Big Bang theory was known to ancient Indians. Is it so?" Swamiji said in the affirmative, "Yes, we knew it." Where? Where is it found? How is it? Swami Nirbhayananda, who was quite well versed in scriptures and all that, it appears in Taittiriya Upanishad. Atma va akasha sambhutaha. You will see it. Open Taittiriya Upanishad. You will very clearly find in Sanskrit. Atma va akasha sambhutaha akashad vayuhu vayoragnihi agnerapah adhyah pruthivi pruthivyam voshadhayah voshadhebhyonnam annat purushah. This is the gist of Big Bang. This is the gist of Big Bang. Nothing else is there in Big Bang. But you don't have the details. That is one characteristic feature that we come across with the rishis of India. Remember, rishis, Bharadwaja was the one who has given us aviation science. If I mention the word Bharadwaja, what is the picture that appears before you? A bearded old man doing always some meditation, etc., turning his back towards all mundane features of life, never evincing any interest in them, indifferent towards what is happening outside, only interested in having the vision of some god or goddess that he wants to have. This is the sort of the picture that we get. No. Atri has written a wonderful political science, just as Plato has written Republic. In fact, the first treatise on the political science in the whole world has come from the pen of Atri and no one else. Later, Chanakya elaborated on it. Chanakya's Arthashastra is a store of knowledge that has shed light upon almost every science under the sun. You see so much of biology in Chanakya's Arthashastra. The name may be Arthashastra, but you see so much of botany there. Chanakya classifies about 300 different groups of plants in his Arthashastra. 300 different groups of plants in Arthashastra. And all these things are a compilation. Chanakya never invented anything. Just as Bhagavad Gita is just a compilation, Patanjali Yoga Sutras are just a compilation, Chanakya's Arthashastra is also a compilation. Atri Maharshi was a political philosopher, Bharadwaja was an aviation scientist, and Vyasa's father Parashara was a great agricultural scientist. He has written the book Vruksha Parashara that gives all the details about various plants and all that. You will be dumbstruck to know all these details. So rishis in ancient India, not that they were indifferent to what they were interested in everything that pertained to human glory. How to make man more glorious, how to transform an ordinary man into an extraordinary man. That was one motto that always loomed large before them. Vivekananda gives a beautiful description of how Vedas came into existence, Vedanta came into existence. Swamiji says, you know what does he say? The best and the most brilliant brains of India retired to forest. What for? And took themselves to the study of man. Man was the subject matter for those people to study. And who did make that study? The best and the most brilliant brains of India. Not ordinary folk, mediocres. The best and the most brilliant brains of India retired to forest and took themselves to the study of man from all possible angles. It was not a one-sided research. From all possible angles, they have studied man. To the exclusion of all other pursuits, they threw away all other pursuits. All their attention, energy, etc. was focused on one thing, that was human being, man. What is man? What are his composite parts? What is his potentiality? Vivekananda also says, there is not a single school of philosophy in India that does not deal with human evolution, either directly or indirectly. Because the subject matter for the best brains of India that took place for 5,000 years, he says no further. And the study was carried on for 50 long centuries. For 5,000 years, man was studied. Every aspect of his evolution, his downfall, causes for his downfall, what factors can lift him up to the level that he wants to, what is the final destination that he has to move while climbing the ladder of evolution. All these details, minutest details, have been given all the attention, and you have a pakka, perfect, whole science about man. Swamiji says that is called as Vedanta. Vedanta is not any sort of a speculative philosophy. Vedanta is science of human excellence. Vedanta is science of human development. We don't know this version. Nobody has said that. Vivekananda was the first person to say Vedanta is an out and out human excellence science, human development science, science of evolution. Not a single school of philosophy in India puts aside the subject of evolution. Not a single school is there that does not directly or indirectly deal with human evolution. So, this Big Bang theory, human evolution, etc., all are there within the list of subjects that the seers wanted to make a study about. Let me bring back to your consciousness what Swamiji's observation has been about how Vedanta was brought into existence. The best and the most brilliant brains of India retired to forest and took themselves to the study of man to the exclusion of all other pursuits, and the study was carried on for 50 long centuries. The result is Vedanta, the basis of Indian culture. Vedanta, the basis of Indian culture. What is the subject that Indians did not know? Robert Oppenheimer, father of atom bomb, at one point says, what we shall find in modern physics today is an exemplification, encouragement, and illustration of ancient wisdom of the Hindus. Oppenheimer was not an ordinary man, father of atom bomb. From him, this sort of an observation is coming. What we shall find in modern physics. Vedanta and Veda are one and the same, remember. Veda, the quintessence of Veda is Vedanta. What we shall find in modern physics is an exemplification, an illustration, and encouragement of ancient wisdom of the Hindus. John Wheeler goes further. You all know the background of John Wheeler, who he is and all that. The man that succeeded Einstein in Princeton University. Nobel laureate. After Einstein retired, the person that sat in his chair was John Wheeler, a Nobel laureate, again a disciple or devout student of Niels Bohr. John Wheeler says, I think the seers of India knew it all. If we can simply translate into our language what they have in their language, we would have answers for all our questions. What greater compliment you want from a scientist of the stature that John Wheeler was. I think the seers of India knew it all. Knew it all, when he says all, it literally means all. Evolution we knew, modern physics we knew, arms and ammunition in Mausala Parva Mahabharata. We come across certain arms and ammunition which very much could produce the results that were produced when bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We all have the description of what happened when bombs were dropped on these twin cities. Similar situation obtained in Mahabharata. Mausala Parva gives a vivid description when some arrows were released, when some ammunitions were used by the soldiers on either side. The effects that there came out because of the exercise of the powers that were there hidden in this ammunition was that all nails would drop off, hair would get dropped off, children became all of a sudden handicapped, etc., etc. Making an observation about that, an Australian scientist has written a book itself compiling all these great inventions of past India, and the title of the book is very significant. You know what is the title of the book? He says, "We are not the first. We are the Australians, Europeans, Westerners, we are not the first." That is the title of the book, so significant. Friends, this is how India was. John Wheeler was very much justified when he said, if you simply translate into our language what they have in their own, we would have answers for all our questions. Let me come back to another scientist, Erwin Schrödinger. Today, the scientific community is revolving around one point. Again, coming back to the building material of the universe. Some scientists are saying it is not the building material, it is consciousness. It is not something of matter. It is not material. The universe is not an objective universe. Those days are gone. They are all stale stories that deserve to be only kept aside. The recent most, you can say, observation of the scientific community about this topic is the building material is spiritual. It is not material, and that is consciousness. And this consciousness is always singular and never plural. Schrödinger's observation, this is. Consciousness is singular, the plural for which cannot be found anywhere. There is no framework anywhere in the world where consciousness is found in the plural. It's always in the singular. It has no plurality at all. But if we find multiplicity, plurality in the mundane world, we see plurality. You are all so many beings. You are not one. You are all different entities. So everywhere we see multiplicity. Everywhere we see difference, plurality, multiplicity only. It is simply our construction. It is simply our own construction based on the temporal plurality of the individuals. But it is a false construction. If I say any plurality there in the objective world, remember my perception is wrong. It's false. According to Schrödinger, it is not Swami Nirbhayananda that is saying it. Schrödinger is saying, supposed to be, Schrödinger is father of quantum physics. And this very John Wheeler says, it is curious. John Wheeler says, it is curious. Father of modern chemistry, Niels Bohr. Father of atomic structure or modern chemistry, Niels Bohr. Father of atom bomb, Oppenheimer. Father of quantum physics, Erwin Schrödinger, were all Upanishad scholars. This is the observation made by John Wheeler. I reiterate, I repeat, it is curious to note. John Wheeler says, it is curious to note, father of atomic structure, Niels Bohr, father of atom bomb, Oppenheimer, father of quantum physics, Erwin Schrödinger, were all Upanishad scholars. Connect the dots. Connect the dots. They were all Upanishad scholars. And their versions of the research work they have done has such a coincidence, has such a concurrence with the observations made by Indians ages ago. What does it mean? Perhaps the Upanishads, the Vedanta, the Brahma Sutra, Shankaracharya's works, Vedas, which is the origin for all these things, must be containing all the science that we want to make a study about today. We need not be wonderstruck. Let us recall to our memory what Vivekananda has said. Every science has taken its birth in India and it has only been developed elsewhere. So, consciousness is singular, but we see plurality outside. in our everyday world for the reason it is our construction, your consciousness, the individual consciousness is seeing plurality where it is not. This is exactly what Maya means. Everything in this world appears as what it is not. What appears is not exactly what it is. Just recall to your memory. Go back to the subject of physics that you have studied or you have been studying even now. Everything can be said that it is just an electromagnetic field. There is that lamp there, the chair is here, there is some table here, some ebonite sort of a thing is here, plastic is there. They are all different versions of one thing which we have to call as consciousness in the language of India, electromagnetic field in the language of the West. Be it electromagnetic field or consciousness, there is uniformity as far as the material structure of everything is concerned. But nothing appears as electromagnetic field nor quantum field. So it is one thing and its appearance is another. This is exactly the definition of Maya. Maya has got two features. It covers the reality and it projects what is not real. Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti, as Acharya puts it. Shankaracharya puts it. Avarana Shakti, it covers the reality. Vikshepa Shakti makes that very thing that is covered appear as something different from what exactly it is. Therefore, things are in one way and they are appearing in a different way. That is why consciousness is singular, but everything is contributing to the fact that things are plural, they are multiple, though in fact, in reality, they are not. Schrodinger himself will say, it is our own construction based on the temporal plurality of the individuals and it is a false construction. There is a conflict then. The thing is singular, but it appears as plural. Which version we have to go by? We have to go by the version that it is singular, or should we go by the version it is plural? There is a conflict. There is no solution for the conflict. Schrodinger says there is a solution for the conflict. The solution to this conflict, insofar as any is available to us at all, comes from the ancient wisdom of the Hindus as it is depicted in the Upanishads. This is Schrodinger's observation. Remember, Schrodinger was influenced by Schopenhauer. Schopenhauer was thoroughly influenced by Upanishads. There is no book in the whole world which is as glorious as Upanishads. That is the observation by Schopenhauer. Schrodinger was inspired by Schopenhauer. Einstein was inspired by Schrodinger. See the chain reaction. So where the root is going to? The root is going to Schopenhauer's works, who in turn derived a lot from Indian thought, and therefore today's Einstein's observations, Schrodinger's observations, they all are rooted ultimately in the Indian thought world. So what does it mean? Indian thought, ancient Indian thought, is the origin of even modern science. It is shedding light on so many enigmatic issues pertaining to modern science, and Vedas are a repository of all science, if we can say so, without any sort of bias as far as the truth is concerned. Like this, we have so many things. All these things are pertaining only to physics. But physics is not an independent subject. Now, science for that matter is an independent subject. It is based on mathematics. Einstein says, we owe a lot to Indians who taught us how to count, without which no considerable scientific invention could ever have taken place. The numerical system is so simple that it appears as though it is nothing great. Because of its simplicity, it does not appear to be great. But there is nothing that is greater than the numerical system that India has presented to the world. Nothing is more than that. One German or French mathematician says, it stands, arithmetic stands in the first rank of all useful inventions ever contributed by the scientific community. And where from this decimal system comes? Way back during the Vedic time itself, we have invented this numeral system, decimal system. Where is it? It is found in the Krishna Yajurveda. Many of you here must have been quite familiar with Rudram, which consists of two parts, Namakam and Chamakam. Krishna Yajurveda, of Yajurveda itself is divided in two parts, Shukla Yajurveda and Krishna Yajurveda. And one of the most important portions in Krishna Yajurveda is Rudram, which again consists of two parts, Namakam and Chamakam. In this Chamakam part, we see the decimal system beautifully enumerated, beautifully depicted. Eka chame, tisrascha me, panchacha me, saptacha me, navacha me, ekadashacha me, त्रयोदशच मे पंचदशच मे सप्तदशच मे नवदशच मे एकविंशतिश्च मे त्रयोविंशतिश्च मे पंचविंशतिश्च मे सप्तविंशतिश्च मे एकत्रिंशच्च मे त्रयस्त्रिंशच्च मे चतुस्रश्च मे अष्टौच मे द्वा, like that it goes. This is found in Krishna Yajurveda. When must have Krishna Yajurveda come into existence? Definitely several thousands of years before Buddha. During as long back as Vedic period itself, we were able to present to the world this beautiful decimal system. Coming to evolution, Darwin has only covered some distance in that direction. Darwin's evolution speaks about evolution up to human level. What is his contribution for post-human evolution? Nothing. Darwin says how things evolve from amoeba, a unicellular organism, up to man, the most developed organism. What about post-human evolution? In this very city, Chicago, about 50 years ago, there took place one conference, international conference, chaired by none other than grandson of Thomas Huxley. You might have heard about Thomas Huxley, a close associate of Charles Darwin, the mastermind behind this beautiful subject, relevant subject, interesting subject, human evolution, or evolution, to put it in general terms. Chaired by none other than grandson of Thomas Huxley, Julian Huxley. The deliberations of this conference ultimately came out in the form of a book that bears the title, The Uniqueness of Man. Uniqueness of man is a term that has been coined by Indian savants long ago. Again, coming to Shankaracharya's contribution in this regard, in his Viveka Chudamani, the very third verse says, Durlabham trayame vaitat daivanugrahetukam manushyatvam mumukshutvam mahapurusha samshrayaha. These three things are very rare, and only a blessed being will have these three privileges. What are those three privileges? Manushyatvam, the first one, human birth. Mumukshutvam, the propensity to seek knowledge all through till you come across the final version of what really knowledge is. The consummation of all knowledge. Till you come across that, constantly you are seeking knowledge. That is called as Mumukshutvam. Mahapurusha samshrayaha, the able guide who can guide you on this path. If you are bestowed with these three, none is more blessed than you. Acharya puts this across in his Viveka Chudamani. So, the uniqueness of man is the fitting title for the book. There he says, human stage onwards, it is not physical evolution, it is not organic evolution. Your body will not undergo any change. From amoeba to human level, evolution is always measured in terms of what sort of body the organism has been getting. Once you get the human body, then organic evolution will stop. Perhaps you all have heard of Veerappan. Many of you must have heard of Veerappan, a notorious gangster who frightened two states in South India, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, became a big headache for both the governments for quite a long time. Look at his body and look at the body of Vivekananda, both appear to be the same. There is no difference at all as far as the organism's physical features are concerned. But what about the sort of the man? What sort of a man is he? and what sort of a man was he? There is an ocean of difference. There are extremities. One is negative infinity and the other one is positive infinity. Where is the difference? Not at all difference at organic level. Then where is the difference? Psychosocial level. It is at the level of psychology, the psyche. Patanjali Yoga Sutra, we are all quite familiar with that. That deals exactly with the beautiful subject, most relevant subject in the whole world. Ever the most relevant subject. The subject is how to accelerate human evolution. Is it time that I should stop? Okay. 3 minutes. The whole subject of Raja Yoga says how to accelerate human evolution. How to accelerate? It is psychosocial. Expand your psyche. Expand your consciousness. Become generous in your outlook. Try to embrace the whole universe in your arms. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Follow this principle. So in Indian Vedanta, there are certain terms, Aham and Atma. Aham means a confined man, man who is totally confined. As long as your Aham and Mamakar, Ahankar and Mamakar are given the nourishment by you, consciously or unconsciously, you remain most ordinary man. Unless and until you overcome the barriers put forth by the Ahankar and Mamakar and try to expand your consciousness to embrace the whole community first, later the whole humanity, your evolution will never take place. You remain where you are, and you may even go down. Further down you may go. Ramanujacharya sheds a lot of light on that. All the acharyas shed so much light on that. Vivekananda comes out with the conclusion, they alone live who live for others. The rest are more dead than alive. Swamiji says, they alone live who live for others. Expansion is life and contraction is death. So that is the hint that Raja Yoga of Patanjali gives, the details of which I would not like to enter into. I think it's time for me to conclude. With one remark I would like to conclude. Friends, remember, it is a privilege that we are born Indians. No part of humanity has inherited such a great treasure as Indians have done. The Queen of Greece has come out with striking observation. You know what did she say? She says, I envy you Indians for your knowledge. Queen of Greece says, I envy you Indians for your knowledge. If Greece is the country of my birth, India is the birthplace of my soul. That's what Queen of Greece has said. Queen of Greece is so proud. Professor Max Muller, towards the conclusion of his life, changed his name as Moksha Muller. What Max Muller has said, what a glowing tribute he has paid to India, I have no time. Otherwise, I would have mentioned it before you, presented it before you. When Vivekananda met him in Oxford and invited him to India, he said, I am already living in Benares of my dreams. I don't want to risk a disillusionment. Even Voltaire was of same type. Emerson too. I totally believe in theory of transmigration. I have already become converted into an Indian servant, something like that, Emerson says. All the powerful minds of the world elsewhere, they have found it as a bit of deprivation for them that they could not be born in India. About 2 years ago, I was in France. While staying in Paris Ramakrishna Ashrama, one lady from Switzerland by name Isabella came and she was about to take leave of me after her yoga camp there that lasted for about a week. Swamiji bless me. So saying, she bowed before me. What's your name? I asked. I am Ishwari. I could make out that she was not Hindu and her name could never be Ishwari. Is it your real name? I asked. No, my real name is Isabella. Now I want to be known as Ishwari. Bless me, Swamiji. Today I am taking leave. What should I bless you with? I asked her. You know, what is the thing that came from her? She said, bless me that I may be born in India in my next birth. Friends, this is real India. We don't know its worth. We never understand who we are. First, we should understand who we are. We should know our roots. If Indian has no reason to be proud, none in this world has got any reason to be proud of his birth or his background or his origin. Thank you so much.